Hey guys, welcome back to part number 4 of my build series of the ICM 48 scale Marauder, this chunky monkey. So today we're going to work on the main assembly, so we get everything put together, ready for paint next week. Now I will print some masks out on my Cricut machine, and I did put the I did size it all and got the file and put a link on my Patreon for anybody who has this Cricut machine and wants to just print out the mask set. So yeah, it certainly helps. A lot of windows on this thing. So it's going together pretty well, and as you see, it turns out to be a pretty awesome beast once the wings are on. So let's go ahead and get started. We are right back at it. So from last week, carrying right on. So we got the main fuselage put together. I still need to just rescribe the panel lines across the top, but we're looking really good. And yeah, you see the cockpit tub obviously in the front, but again, all that work we did on the interior, you're not really going to see it. I guess you can see maybe a little bit of the guns, the bomb bay, you can definitely kind of see inside, but all this stuff back here is zero. So yeah, there you go. Well, probably 20 hours at least work on that, and you can't see it, but hey, that's the fun and joy of modeling, right? At least I took some pictures in the video so you can see what it looked like before it was all buttoned up. Feeling heavy too with that 2 ounces of nose weight in there. So we're going to continue on, and the goal by this episode is really just to get the main assembly done. So we need to get the wings on, we need to get the tail, obviously, because we're missing the tail and the wings, and go from there. So we're up to basically part number 43, or section 43 of the instructions here is what we've got up to. And basically, just going through this real quick, 44 to 46 basically builds the tail assembly, which we'll do first at the back. And then we continue on to this page. These little parts, 51 and 52, like for the bomb bay doors, I'm not probably going to put those on right now because they're going to snap off. That's something we're going to add much later on. And then going through here, again, the bomb bay door stuff, we're not going to worry about. The cannons, I guess we can build. We'll see. They'll go on the very end. As a reminder, with my scheme, which is the big hairy bird, which is the this guy, we've got a decal to go on first. The decal goes first, and then the cannons go on top of the decal at the very, very end, which I kind of highlight there. The glass work, we're obviously going to put glass work on the very end. I'll get all the wings on, make everything sanded and looking good. The very last thing we'll do before we paint will be the glass work. Unfortunately, on this one for me, it's not a one-piece canopy. You got 2 panels which you have to glue in there, which makes things a little bit tricky. So we've got to glue those in. So that's going back to glass work again. We'll take care of that at the very last minute for paint, and onto the wing assembly, and through here, and then the engines and the cells. We'll see how we get on time-wise with this, but that most probably be a separate episode, maybe next week. And then you're adding it all to the main structure, to the main fuselage there. So that's the end of the instructions. The gear's not much. I mean, the gear's just one piece. You've got the props, the wheels. So we're getting there. I mean, a lot of work's been done on the interior. I think we can really kind of knock out the rest pretty expeditiously. So yeah, I'm going to start cutting some plastic off, getting this tail assembly built up, and then I'll check back in. Working on the tail assembly, thought I'd come back in, just quick little update. So I've got the parts all kind of glued together, different sub-assemblies. Now, it has it in instructions that you kind of, in thirds, you kind of, looking for the part here, this bit glues onto here, and then that goes on top of the fuselage. I think it's going to be a better fit, as I look for the fuselage, if we attach this part first, and then once that's glued and dried, then add tail. I think it's going to fit better. So that's the order I'm going to do it. So I'm going to build this assembly first and then add tail afterwards. Did notice a couple of H parts, which are clear parts, which is kind of a bit of a nuisance. So we've got a couple of clear parts to put in there. I've got to put them in before I attach this. I don't think I can get in otherwise. So I'll attach those and we're going to mask it later on. So 2 little clear parts go there. I will add the horizontal stabilizers first. Well, the flaps, these guys, I'll add these first, glue them in before I add the clear parts, just in case I spill any glue or anything like that. Also cleanup. So let's talk real quick about cleanup. I've kind of talked about it in the past, but all these little tabs, let Let me move this out of the way. I think it kind of affects the focusing. Let me find a good example here, piece. So here, you can see the gnarly bits. So, using sprue colors, you obviously, cut off the runner, sprue runner, and you're left with these nubs. Rather than clean the parts up first, glue the parts together, then clean it up. Because they're not going to foul the fit, as you can see. But if you have the risk, if you clean them up individually, that you might kind of put a dink in it or get a bad, gap. So I always like to just, again, put the part together, and then with a coarser sanding stick, just sand those parts off. And then come back in with, this is a 600 grit sanding sponge, just to clean it up. And same with all the seams, just clean it up with a sanding sponge. Now I see I put a little masking tape on here, parts 48 and 49, just so I remember which side they go on. Just a quick little, again, for build management. And wait, I can't remember if it cleans one up or so just. And then you're going to have a perfect seam line. There's going to be no gaps or any filling or anything like that. So that's a thing I've been using a lot recently. In the past, like I said, I've always gone ahead and clean parts up separately. But a lot of these kits where the attachment points are, it doesn't affect the fit. So you just want to put them together first. This guy done too. Again, this is a very soft plastic too on this ICM. So you don't have to go too crazy with sanding on this. It sands pretty easily and quickly. So I'm going to go through, clean the rest of these parts up, get the assembly put together, and then we can start applying it to the main fuselage. Okay, so got this part on, your plastic magic, and I'm just holding it in position for a couple of minutes until it dried. Now I did note here, these parts of the fuselage, just make sure that they're flush, because they were a little crooked, and I just kind of moved them a little bit and they clicked into place kind of thing. So you want it flush around the back here, these two joins, and then also you want a nice seam line. Oh, how about from my camera? Nice seam line underneath, so just holding position with plastic magic. Now, just a reminder, if you didn't watch, the first couple of parts, I used the old extra thin. It wasn't working very well, it wasn't sticking to plastic, so I got some of this plastic magic, which is almost like an MEK or a MEK kind of glue, different type of chemistry involved, I guess, but it works a lot better. It glues this plastic really well. So if you're building ICM kits, this plastic really likes the plastic magic glue. Just a heads up, or MEK if you have that. So yeah, so I've got that on place, and I'm just going to now glue the tail on. Okay, I'm just going to line it up here in my eye, just make sure we're straight. Some pressure to hold it in place. And there is a bit of a gap there. You can see it's not a great fit. Sorry, I keep off camera today. I'm all over the place. See, there's a bit of a seam we have to fill in. Now this is flush, and yeah, okay, looking straight. So there we go. I'm going to let this dry up, and then we probably just need a little bit of filler just around the bottom here, the base. And for that, I'll use filet or putty, because it's really easy. Just put it on there, and then with a cotton bud or a Q-tip, just wipe it off, and easy, easy, easy. So there we go. That's looking more like an aircraft now. So I'll let that dry up, and I'll start preparing the parts for the wings. All right, so making a wing here, and I'm stopping by just to point something out, and that is this part here, F4 and 5, and part number 64. You can't really see where it fits, so I had some issues with it, and I finally figured out, if you're following along here, they kind of slot in here with, that's the B on the side. So these go slightly out and slot in, and they glue flushly with the top here. There's nowhere really particularly to glue them. I just lay them straight and glue it. Also, I did notice too with the wing, there isn't much attachment points here. It's a little bit, the fitlish is a little bit tricky to get this thing lined up. So really goes take your time, line it up with your eye here, and make sure it's all flush, and then glue it together. And there's not much structure in here either. So see how it bends? It's very bendy and flexible. So it could have done maybe with a few more kind of, ribs of structure in here, just keep it a little bit more rigid. But like I point out here, it's maybe it's glue, it might be a little bit stronger, and got the flaps on and stuff, but it just seems very bendy and I don't know. But if I bring it to the aircraft and get an idea of the size, what we're going on here, it's actually getting pretty big now once you put the wings on. So yeah, I'm interested in how the fit is. So let me again, I just want to point out that part there because that kind of tricked me a little bit. So now I'm just going to take some time and glue this together, and we get this wing finished off. As you can see, we're starting to take shape here. It's big old chunky monkey. Like, look at this. Now, the wings do fit pretty nicely, actually. These aren't glued, they're just like slotted in. So there is a bit of a seam line here. So, I mean, if you want to travel, I don't know, model shows with this thing, or if you just space constraints, then you could just pull the, I say that, you just pull the wings off and have them, like that. Now, I'm probably going to glue these guys on and take care of the seam lines. Although there's not much of a seam line, it's actually a really good fit. So, yeah, it's taking shape. So what I will say, actually, I don't want to break. Here's my kind of completed one. The nacelles here have a lot of parts going in, and it's not much way of attachment point. So there's a few seam lines here and there to take care of. There's a little trigger put together. So that's one done. Now the engine goes on the front here, and then you have like the end that goes on like this. Now again, this is a lot of parts going in with little attachment points. It's a lot vague of the fit, so you have to be careful to get this thing lined up. So I'm probably gonna have one with it on and one with it out, so you can see the engine detail. But yeah, there we go. So it's looking pretty good. Now I will say, now it's glued together. The wing is solid. Before, remember, it's flexible. Now it's glued. It's pretty sturdy. But yeah, looking good. You see, it's interesting shape aircraft, and a nice size, I think, at 48 scale as well. It's not massive. It's not too teeny tiny. So yeah, I'm just going to continue working on. Another thing I point out, like this little guy under here, I wish they weren't molded these torpedo tube right there on both wings, because it's going to snap off pretty easily. But anyway, so I'm going to build the nacelle for the left wing here, and then I'll probably I'll build another one of these anyway, see if it comes out a little bit nicer, because I do have like a little bit of a raised part stand down here. So I'll build another one of these and finish the wing off, and then get it put onto the main fuselage. So this kit is going together well, as you can see. Now, not perfect, it's not Tamiya, but it's going together well. But there's a few things I'm noticing here I just want to call out. And who knows, maybe if ICM are watching, put a comment below. Hopefully to take this as a constructive criticism, so if you build new versions of this kit, hopefully you can make these changes, make this kit, next level. So, all right, first of all, let's talk about the, I've noticed a few now on this, but you see how these parts are joined? And as I've gone through the build, again, this is not the first time, they're put so close. Oh, sorry, not focused. They're so close to the plastic, you can't fit your sprue cutters in to cut them off. It's just physically, it's too close. So you can cut off with a knife, but again, the way that they're molded, this thing is very fragile, and every single one is broken. As you can see, right here, breaks. Now, it's not a huge deal because they get glued on a flat surface, so it does break. I mean, it's not, this part particularly doesn't matter. It's just, again, I've noticed again through early in the build, I can't remember the parts, but on other sprues, again, molded very closely to the runner, and attachment points, you can't barely get your sprue cutters in to cut them off. So that's my first initial feedback. Secondly, the nacelles here, again, the parts, there's not much location points on a lot of this stuff, like where things go. It could help. You have to I line them up with the back and the front here. Small tabs, which don't really fit great, but all it could have done was, if you just molded a back wall from each one, around the side here, which is super easy, then it just rests against it and you get a perfect fit every time. Also, the front part here, 4 parts, 1, 2, and 2, 4 parts plus the outer ring. It's creating, there's nothing, you just have to line the parts up. There's nothing to fit them, no tabs or anything to line it up. So it's all eyesight and taking your time and gluing it. Now, you don't need 1, 2, 3, 4. This could have been 1 part, right? So main shell, and then one part goes on top, just to make the build a little bit easier for the builder, especially as this kit, is kind of it's not like a mini base SU-33 where you got 1,000 sprues here. It's pretty kind of dumbed down in some respects in terms of detail. So again, you got a gnarly line to take care of on each part. My second attempt at doing this, I think I got a better job of getting it put together. But still, that could have been one piece. You didn't need to. There's nothing. Actually, no, I lied. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there is 4 pieces. But again, you didn't. It just creates unnecessary kind of building and for the process and cleanup work and stuff required. So that's kind of real quick summary of some of the niggles I have about this. Again, it's the parts, they kind of go together okay, but there's some areas it's just that there could be a little bit more. I think there could be a little bit more kind of help us here with the builder just to get this thing put together. But nacelles for sure, because it definitely needs some work. Also, I realized these aren't glued on the wings, but I totally forgot about the rivets. Now, I love it or hate it, I riveted the main fuselage, and I was going to do the wings to match. Now, I forgot about it, so I obviously do want to rivet to match the fuselage. So just if you are going to do it like me and do rivet them, which may be necessary, not historically accurate, but you might want to do the parts before you make the wings. One on the sprues, the individual parts, the upper and lower wings, just run the rivet wheel over it. It'd be a lot easier now than having to do it as an assembly. Although it's still pretty easy. Just hold it, run the rivet wheel over real quick. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I just want to stop and just kind of show you those few parts here and talk through that. And yeah, now we'll continue with building this nacelle up. Right, so we got the wings on. Now I've left it, did one, let it dry for about 20-30 minutes, and then I did the other one, that's dry too. And you can see we're getting a big old beast. And let's do the usual comparison here with my Prowler I'm working on at the same time. And you can see there, we're about the same height, but the wingspan is definitely way wider on the, oh, sorry, help of my camera, right? Let me zoom out a little bit here. There we go. I'm touching the end here. That's how much wider the Marauder is. And yeah, it's always nice to get things in the same scale you can compare against. And yeah, nice modern cockpit on that one compared to a World War II on that one. Anyway, so enough of comparison. So got it put together, looking good. As you can see, not very much for seam line, actually really good fit. There's a little bit back here, a little bit more on the underside, because I want to make sure the top was aligned. And then obviously we've got this little bit of a gap here too at the tail. So what I'm going to do to fill these, super easy, is use my Vallejo plastic putty. Has its purpose. I mean, there's so many different products I've used, as you can see from my videos, but for this one, I think it's super easy. So I'm just going to squeeze it like toothpaste, a bead around the wing root there. A little bit more where there's more of a gap. And just need a little bit more of, sorry, here. At the front here, some gap. There we go. And with a toothpick, Q-tip, should I say, just going to wipe it. Again, I'm careful when I hold this. I don't like knock all the bombs out with my finger. And just basically going to wipe it along the seam. You might need a couple of goes there. You see it's still a little bit gap there, so we'll let it dry and we'll come back and get some more in there. But that one's done. Take another one. And it's easy as that. Again, I'm let it dry for about 10 minutes. I'm going to just do one more coat on top of that just to make sure we are good. On the other side here, there's a little bit more. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit harder to get a little bit more out. And obviously with filling, the more you put down, the more you got to get rid of or sand off. So better do it in smaller batches. And then once it's painted, you're not going to see it. You can see there how down. Yeah, and switch to a different one. And as easy as that. So that is it. So I'm basically going to let this dry, give it another coat. I did rescribe on the top here. and everything, so we should be in good shape. So once we've done that, I think the next step is really get those masks printed out, get the glass part on the front, and all the windows masked up, and then guess what? We're almost ready for priming this bad boy next week. So yeah, I did buy a couple of jars of LP11, so spoiler alert, I think that's going to be a really good color for this natural metal. So LP11 Tamiya, let's see if I have some around. Yeah, there it is right here. Silver, which actually gives a good, I think, effect. So this is what we'll be using, and be interested to see how much it takes to fill this whole thing, because it's quite a big bird. And obviously, you know, we've got to take care of the yellow at the front for the decal and all that kind of jazz. But anyway, I'm rambling, so I'm going to let this dry, take care of all the rest of these seams, and be right back. Okay, so time to get the glass work on and mask time. And I printed the mask out on my Cricut machine. As I mentioned earlier, just scan this in, put it through ink. Is it Inkscape? I think it's the program I use. Whatever. I talked about making masks before in previous videos on the channel, but I did it, and actually first time it printed at perfect size, which is unbelievable, because normally you have to tweak these things now and again. So print it. Here's a printed version. You see I've peeled some off and stuck them on already. And the beauty is, you know, you print as many as you want now because it's at home. And I use this Mask 810 is what I use. And see, just print it out and just peel it off, vinyl mask, and usually work pretty well, fingers crossed. Now, put the masks on first, a lot easier, then glued this on the front piece. Now, I will say this is about a millimeter too narrow, so you have to kind of splay it out back a bit. So carefully glue this in place with the Plastic Magic, just a drop of it. Hopefully it's not going to steam a canopy up, but I guess we'll see once it's all done. Glued it in place. Annoying part of this, as I mentioned, is the two panels on top were loose. So mask those up and then carefully place them in position. And again, just a little bit Plastic Magic around the outside to glue it in. Make sure it's strong. Because I was worried if this thing, if you don't quite line it up and it drops in, you kind of screw because it's inside the canopy and you have no spares. So you got to be very careful. Just place it in position, glue it, and then just press it very lightly. And then we can glue the front on. All the other masks are all applied. Now this, while I was applying this mask at the back here, I made a fatal error of putting my finger like right where this window is and kind of pushed it in a little bit, so it's a little bit loose. So again, you do it from the inside, so there's no way going back there. So I think it's okay. I think it's that side. Yeah, fingers crossed, you know, it lasts through the painting and weathering the build stage without that glasswork falling into the fuselage. Because again, there's no coming back from that one. I will say this dome here probably just needs mask. There's an outside piece, and then I'll probably just use masking fluid to fill the inside in. I think it'd be a better option than the vinyl mask. What else? That's kind of it where we're at right now. Now, the mask I did put up, so again, shout out for my Patreons. I do have a Patreon channel as little as $2 a month. And right now I've got the Prowler build on the go and some more exclusive content I do on there, some unboxings and little weekly vlogs, all kinds of content over there. So check out my Patreon. And I did post the file for my Cricut machine for these masks, which I created and, you know, prepared myself to the right size. I uploaded that Cricut file to my Patreon. So if you join my Patreon, you'll be able to access the file. And if you do have a Cricut machine at home, you'll be able to just easily just upload it into the design software and print it immediately without any design, which I've done already for you guys. So again, another perk for being one of my Patreons. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm in the process of kind of masking up the inside of this, the nose here. It's a little tricky again, this one. I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm trying to figure out the outside too, where it gets masked. And then once that's done, we can just glue down on the front there as well. And then we'll just basically foam up the areas and ready to paint. So yeah, making great progress here. And nice, heavy, it's good size, I think. It's big, but it's not super massive. And it's, you know, I think 48 is a really good size for this Marauder, to be honest with you. So there we go. So yeah, just got to figure out the game plan with these masks. It's a little bit confusing what's going on here. Yeah, go from there. All right, so about to wrap this one up. So built the nose here, and a lot of masking going into this, but it turned out really good. A mixture of just masking with tape to get the silver on the outside, and using my Cricut machine to print a mask for these two weird shapes right here. But looking good. Painted the green on the inside, and then the outside again just mastered it up. Painted the silver because I'm going to natural metal finish look on the outside. So the LP11 silver colors going to match the rest of the fuselage. And with a touch of PVA glue, so I didn't want to frost up the glass, I glued the gun in and that little black box as well. So I'm leaving this off because it's going to be too tricky to mask it like the rest of the turrets and stuff and glass work. So as you can see, we just added some tape and yeah, call it a day. So then we just paint the whole thing and add it on the very end. So a couple other things here and there. The lights masked up before I glued it, and just again with my mask set, and painted interesting. So I did no color call outs. I painted interior green and then just hand painted silver for the two round, which I'm shooting the lights on there, and then just going to glue in place this little guy, which we can do right now. So really nice fit, and just going to hold it in place again with a little bit of the old plastic magic carefully along the side. I don't want to frost it up or anything. Again, just careful little dab, let it run across the edge of the plastic and weld into the fuselage, or the wing, should I say. And I'm just going to push it. There we go. Good to go. So that's ready to be painted. So there we go. That's the assembly done. Obviously, we've got to build the engines, and we'll do another time, and the gear and all those other parts. But the main bulk of the aircraft, the fuselage, the wings, the rest of it, it's done, ready for paint. And yeah, added some foam into the gaps. And next week when we come back, we will get going and get this beautiful. Again, we're going to go with this really cool scheme, silver with the yellow. And yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So thank you for following along. It's been a ton of work getting these videos put together, not only building it, but filming, editing it. So yeah, appreciate you staying along if you've been with me this far, and appreciate your support. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel out. And also have a Patreon channel where I'm building the Prowler, which you can see on my Patreon, and yeah, building on at the same time. So yeah, again, ton of work in this one, but it's going together really well. So far, I do recommend the kit. I think it's pretty cool. Kind of expensive, but again, a lot of hours work, and I think it's going to turn out to be a nice kit. Fingers crossed. We're getting close towards the end now. So yeah, see you next week. Have a great week. Goodbye.